Hi everyone, welcome back to Kim Talks Stress. I've been coming live or popping in live over the last few days to talk about stress in particular because I really want to level set a number of things. I want to share kind of some common definitions about what stress is, but in particular, I really want to talk about how it impacts our lives, how it accumulates, and what the heck to do about it. We seem to live in a society, a culture of ongoing stress. There's no shortage of stress. In fact, the stress management, industry is billions of dollars large. We invest, we research, we spend time, but quite honestly, I think we are seeking. And that's why there is so much noise and so much information out there. It's overwhelming. In fact, I think stress management itself and trying to get on top of it can become a stress in your life. And that is exactly the topic of today's conversation. So if we haven't met yet, my name is Kim Fulton. I am the owner and founder of Kim Fulton Wellness. I am a trained yoga and Ayurvedic wellness and lifestyle coach, but I've turned that knowledge into a very specialized stress protocol. And so now I call myself a stress reset and resilience coach. Backed by the foundation of yoga and Ayurveda, I'm able to help my clients really transform stress in their life. And that's exactly the type of thing that I'm looking to share with you now. So last time I was here live, I talked about a stress stack. And here I am back with my Jenga blocks because I think it's just a perfect illustration of the stress stack. And as a recap, a stress stack is really an accumulation of stress, and it's caused by either a repetition of a stress experience, the same thing happening again and again and again and again, that has not had the opportunity to be released, and so it's living within you as an experience that it's caused a stress response. It is also the repetition of stress experiences, so more than one thing repeating at the same time, but kind of like all the things happening over and over and over and over and over again, kind of like that Groundhog Day effect. And these stress experiences are accumulating faster than you can let them go. And that gets me to kind of the last kind of cause of stress stack, which is the cumulative result of these stress-causing stress events or lifestyle events that are just building up and have built up. And as I shared with you last time, into this kind of like a teetering stack of blocks. Now today I've got my Jenga blocks stacked a little differently. First of all, it gives me a little bit more stability in my conversation because I also don't want to have stress over my blocks falling over. But second of all, because I think that this is also a nice illustration of how the complexity of our stress stacks. They're not always kind of, one at a time, but this kind of complex stack of things occurring that or have occurred in our life that have built up. And let me just reset here so they don't topple over as I'm speaking. And because I thought today that I'd love to share with you more about the real sneaky ways that stress can accumulate in your life. And in particular, as I mentioned before, even just kind of getting on top of your stress or trying to manage your stress, it in and of itself can become stressful. Okay, so let's break that down. So if this is your stress stack, right, every day, good, a good quality sleep may reduce some of that accumulation. Getting some exercise, may reduce some of that accumulation. Eating good, healthy food, we reduce some of that accumulation, right? Our regular daily, healthy daily habits can go a long way to reduce our stress stack. If they've been built up over time, that may take a bit to get through, but that is the foundation of kind of resolving the problem of a stress stack. But here's the thing. With this accumulation, right, then we come back the next day and, the boss changes the project timeline. The coworker has come back from vacation. The annoying coworker has come back from vacation. Suddenly your parents have an urgent health situation. And so on, and so on, and so on. And so by the end of that day, you're almost back where you started. In fact, as you can see, you might have a few holes in the tower that are making the whole thing just a little bit less stable. The integrity of it is starting to waver a little bit. And so you begin the next day here. So the next situation, right? So you know that you've got a stress problem. Maybe even your doctor is telling you that you need to reduce the stress in your life. So you go all in, right? You're researching, you're getting the books, you're listening to the podcast, you're downloading the apps. And so we start our new day, right? You do the boot camp, a little bit less stress. You listen to the podcast, maybe a little bit less stress. You attend your first yoga class. This is getting tricky. And maybe a little bit less stress. And then we reset. And then the next day, you're all gung-ho again. You've still got this stress stack to manage, still got this stress stack to overcome. Oh, hi, my friends. I see people joining. This is fantastic. So we're still got this stress stack that we're trying to manage. The next day, we start again. Busy schedule. The kid has a project they forgot. Now you have to rush out and get supplies. And so on. And so on. You couldn't quite get that healthy meal in, so you're grabbing something to go. Here we are again with our stress stack. A little bit more holes in it, a little bit more, a little bit less integrity in the foundation. So you've had this busy day, but you know what to do. You're going to go to that yoga class. But wait a minute. New project deadline. Now you can't go. So what happens? Actually, this is now stress. But that's okay, because now you've got your app to tell you that how well you're sleeping. But you've got some more information now, because it's telling you that you need to sleep better, but you're not really sure how. Guess what? Another stress. And so, right, the next day, maybe you got a little bit more sleep. We take one off the top, take another off the top. But on it goes, right? On and on and on and on. And so you may have these thoughts or ideas about your stress management, right? The sleep app gave you something more to think about. Now you're a little bit more stressed because you realize that you're not getting as quality sleep as you think you should and not really sure what to do about it. All of these things can start to accumulate. And these are the sneaky ways that stress kind of sneaks up. Sneaky ways that sneaks up, that makes sense. Move my pile a little bit before I knock it over with my hands, right? But these are the sneaky ways that stress accumulates in our life. And even when we think we're getting on top of it because we've got, we've listened to a podcast and we've got an idea about what to do next, or you're attending that boot camp and man, you feel good by 8 o'clock, after you've got it done, but then the day gets away from you and all of a sudden you're adding stress back to it. these are the ways that even our best intentioned stress management ideas or practices can undermine our stress resilience. And so what to do about it, right? Well, now that we know how stress accumulates, now that we know that sometimes even our stress management ideas or protocols can actually add stress, right? Now we need to have some systems, some tools, and some ways to not just kind of poke holes in our stress stack, but to actually reduce it. And this is the topic of our next live. So until then, I'd love to know what you learned today, what you think. Tell me in the comments below or send me a message, and I will see you again tomorrow.